heard, and complained about in this community for years. The DOJ report represents an opportunity for a new beginning for Louisville and all its citizens. But that can only be a new beginning if there is transparency by the mayor, LMPD, and Metro Council in the next steps of implementation. Among them, negotiating the consent decree, implementing the agreed to corrective actions, detail regular reporting and accountability on the implementation of the improvements, opening to the public the contract negotiations with the Louisville FOP, and ensuring that the Inspector General has the unfettered access to the records necessary to do the job the position requires. The Louisville branch NAACP is ready to work with the mayor, the police chief, LMPD, the Inspector General, the consent decree monitor, and all others to ensure implementation of the corrective actions needed to make Louisville a model city where all citizens are treated with dignity and justice. Any questions?
You know, I was curious, in this report, they referenced the mistreatment of people of color. What do the contents of this report mean for your mission, the advancement of people of color?
It validates what we've been saying. It encourages us to make sure that it is implemented in a fair and just manner, or even that it is implemented. I think the NAACP, we stand on that record. In the past, they have not acknowledged that some of their actions have been discriminatory. And this report points that out, and we're willing to work with them.
Based on LMPD's record of not really working with people in the past, do you have faith that things will actually change prior to the activist report?
If not, we'll keep our foot up somebody's behind. We're serious. We're going to have to make sure. It's our job as an advocacy organization. It's our job as an NAACP. And if it is not implemented, it's our job to report it to the mayor, to LMPD, to you, because you have a responsibility as the media, as well as those of us who are advocates. We all have the whole city at this point.
Well, and then the other thing is there's going to be a signed consent decree, which has the force of law that can be enforced in court. So the things that they agree to that they don't perform, either the monitor will bring it to the attention of the court, or we and other organizations in the community would. So this is something different this time. So what's so vitally important is what ends up in that consent decree to be negotiated. And one of the things we want to know is we want to see what's going on in that process to make certain that the things that we think need to be covered are in fact included.
What are some of those things that you think need to be covered, need to be included?
Well, at this point, we until we see, there's 90 pages. I have not read it all, and so knowing what they talk to particularly, let me just tell you one of the things I'm concerned about. If Hilliard Heinz came into town and they gave 102 fixes, let's recommend 102 fixes for it. the city of Louisville's response was to put up a dashboard where we're going to track that. I don't know if y'all been on the dashboard lately, but it is miserable. They're about 32% complete after almost 2 years. So, so this time around, we want something that has some teeth, that we can in fact do something with, and then, as I said, have the force of a federal law behind us when we bring it to the attention of city government. They won't dismiss us like they've dismissed us in the past.
Have you guys spoken with anyone from the mayor's office, LMPD at all?
Not today. We did have, well, let me take it back. I did speak with someone from the mayor's office who did call to give us a heads up as to what would take place. And this was prior to 11 o'clock. At our last general membership meeting last month, our speaker was the interim chief of police. And we did have a question and answer period with her.
I'm curious, I mean, a lot of times, in many other cities, you see police reform get stymied by FOP, by labor negotiations, right?
Right.
Is there any way, I mean, obviously, the labor negotiations are tricky between employers and employees and things, but is there any way, does NAACP have any way to communicate with FOP and to kind of work with those?
We can, we'll be glad to meet with the FOP, no problem. But I do think that as we indicate in here, that the negotiations between the city and the FOP should be open. I don't mean where citizens or organizations can participate, but they should be open so we will all know what is going on, and there can be no surprises to the community once the deal is cut.
Additionally, as I say, we haven't read the report, but we did meet with the Department of Justice investigators when they were here over the last couple of years. And in several of those conversations, we specifically asked, when whatever you draw up or provide, we would like it written in such a manner that it impacts what FOP does or can do in contract. We asked them specifically, could the consent decree take on issues regarding state law? So the Police Bill of Rights, which is statute in Kentucky, in my opinion, serves as part of the problem for addressing accountability within police departments in Kentucky and FOP, Louisville FOP in particular. So until we gotten through this document, we don't know what they did. But again, they're going to be negotiating a consent decree. So when we say we want that process open, it'll give us an opportunity or a chance to have some input into the language that goes into the consent decree that may very well address some of the problems that FOP contract provides or causes.
What's the emotion that comes with this report coming out and having validation to what you all have been fighting for and speaking out about?
So you said what emotion? It's on the one hand, you feel really good about what you say and being validated. But on the other hand, a lot of people had to suffer for us to get to this point in this day. So, you can't be elated with what has happened, but at least it provides a point in time for new accountability, for new review. And so that we're really happy for. But, I think of the young man who was stopped over here on 18th Street, made a wide turn, taken out, handcuffed, and humiliated in public. This report doesn't do anything to change that. And so, we feel very, very sorry for folks who had to endure this, but hopefully with what is coming out now, we can get some changes made.
And so, speaking to that, obviously, Breonna Taylor in 2020 is what really sticks out. It's a big thing in people's minds. But we've heard from other people who've grown up here for years and have said this has been a problem for years.
Okay.
So, just how far back would you say, this kind of stuff from LMPD really goes?
Well, I guess I can answer that.
You can answer that.
I was first arrested in 1961 in participating in the sit-in demonstrations to desegregate Louisville. The police arrested us. But the interesting thing, there was no law upholding segregation. They arrested us for breaking a custom. That was in 61. In 68, when we had what some called a riot, I called this a disturbance. My office at that point was across the street on 28th and Greenwood when it broke out. The many police abuses that occurred, meeting with the chief did not produce the desired effect. It's been going on for years. And I'm sure there are others, or many others, who can testify to that. And so, for the entire community, this report should be embraced, studied, make sure we all understand it, and try to make Louisville a better place.
And as you say this should be embraced, we've already heard from one councilman who, as the announcement came out, said that this was going to be costly and that we don't know if it will reduce crime. What's your response to that takeaway?
Why don't you name that councilman for us?
Yeah,
As expected.
Yeah. He's entitled to his opinion. However, as an elected official, we would hope that he would take, and I'm sure if he's responded already, he has not read the complete report. And therefore, I would hope that he would read the report and reflect on what the report has and the recommendations. It may be costly, I don't.
Well, the thing about it is, if you talk about the report, talks about specific incidents that have occurred in which citizens have been abused, rights have been denied. And I think, it calls into question, what is his commitment to justice, law, and order when sitting on the city council and say it's going to be expensive? Freedom isn't free. People have paid a price. So the rights that Ryle and I enjoy today in this country, people pay the price for. And so what this report says to the city of Louisville in its leadership, that you have abused individuals' constitutional rights, First and Fourth Amendment rights. You violated the Civil Rights Act. Mm-hmm. You violated two other statutes or acts in terms of that. It's time to get your conduct in order. So I would implore him to make a commitment to spending the city money to address the issues that impact citizens of this community. And I think people who are brown and black in this community deserve just that. Mr. Piogini has a real problem, and your statement of question in terms of what he said just highlights how bad his problem truly is.
You mentioned this is a very long report, there's a lot to dig through. Was there anything, at least from your preliminary glance, that was missing in terms of content or tone?
Nothing yet. The 8 recommendations, the area that there were the 30-some recommendations overall, but the 8 sort of summary points there, I thought it was fairly comprehensive. And until we have an opportunity to go through it to know in detail what's included, I can't say what's missing or not. I can say at this point that what I've seen so far, read and heard, I'm very pleased that it's there and it's something to work with.
Based on your personal past experience and the Hiller-Hines report, as you mentioned, do you have faith that any real change is going to come?
Well, we don't have a consent decree, and which will be able to be enforced by law. So we have a different tool in the toolkit this time around to be able to do that. So the consent decree is between the Department of Justice and the city of Louisville, but citizens will have the ability to raise complaints and go into court and challenge some of these things. So I think it's a different ballgame.
And so far, how have things been with new administration? Greenberg, the new police chief, talking with them before even this came out, have you seen things, had good back and forth with them and just how things are going?
Let me, on Monday night at our executive committee meeting, we passed a resolution calling on the mayor to open up the contract negotiation process with the FOP. So, that's been our initial salvo to the mayor. We think that transparency, which he promised in his campaign, is absolutely essential and important. And the fact that he, or at least his administration at this point, has closed those negotiations for the public to know what's going on, says he has some work to do.
I think that's everything.
Is that it?
Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Final message for the
No. Listen, thanks so very much,
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
and we'll keep you posted.
Please do.
We're definitely there. No, I was looking, trying to find, we wrote Fisher, whether it was 2019 or 2018 or 19.
Yeah.
About the stop and ask for the independent investigation.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And as you guys read through it more, if there's anything that you want to make sure we're aware of or that you want to highlight, feel free to reach out.
Oh, don't worry, we will. Don't worry, we will.
You know how
Thank
to get a hold of all of us. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Fields,
President, as usual,
how you doing?
great.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good, good.
Pretty good today. Pretty good weather
It is. It is.
compared to yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.